have a question to start off. How many people here have a sibling? Yeah, okay, good. So you guys will understand this perfectly. Now let me rephrase. Who here has an annoying sibling? Yeah. Okay, so even though I love him, my brother is a perfect example. We fight with each other all the time about the stupidest little things. But there's one problem. After we fight, we can never seem to have a conversation about how we can fix things, how we can make these things better, how we can have a more effective conversation. So, the questions I hope to answer today are: how can I effectively communicate with my brother? How do I make sure that my next chapter with my brother is a good one? Well, let's think about this for a second. The question of our next chapter, it's one that we constantly think about. Will I get this job next week? Will I get a good grade on this A-Push test? No, by the way, I did not get a good grade. But this question and ones like it are some of the biggest we ask ourselves every day, especially for high school students like me. I wonder what my next chapter will look like. How will I impact the world? But more importantly, how do we ensure that our next chapter is going to be a good one? How do we ensure that our next chapter is going to be good for our grandchildren? Well, I believe I have an answer. Not a solution, but a stepping stone towards a solution. And that answer is communication. Jim Rohn once said, if you just communicate, you can get by. But if you communicate skillfully, you can work miracles. Now, to start from the beginning, the first way I ever tried to communicate with my brother was screaming at each other. I realized that this didn't work very, very quickly. The only emotion that I effectively conveyed to him was anger, which in truth did give me a moment of, I got him. But in turn, it gave me 1,000 moments worth of the exact opposite. Feeling bad, having not solved the situation, but simply made it worse. So, that night, something changed. I decided to sit down with my family and figure out how I can effectively communicate with my brother. Together, we came up with the 3 C's of communication. First of which is curiosity. Stephen Covey once said that the biggest communication problem is we do not listen to understand. We listen to reply. Showing curiosity during communication allows us to wonder, what are they thinking? Why are they thinking that way? When we have arguments, it is important to understand other people's point of views, their beliefs, the reasons behind the way they think. To use curiosity in a normal conversation, or to start off a conversation, we usually ask a question. For example, how have you been? How was your day? How's life going? These questions allow us to dive deeper into these person's stories, allows us to dive deeper, ask why do they think this way? Although, it is important to realize that there are 2 parts to curiosity. The curiosity itself and active listening. Now, you may ask me, Evan, what is active listening? Well, I believe Doug Larson describes it best when he says, wisdom is the reward you get for a lifetime of listening when you'd have preferred to talk. I'm going to say that one more time. Wisdom is the reward you get for a lifetime of listening when you'd have preferred to talk. When you'd have preferred to talk. That's what I'm doing to you right now. I'm sitting here speaking to you, and I hope you're gaining something from this conversation. That's the whole point of TEDx. We come up here and we share beliefs and views that are different from what you normally see, views that we believe we hold important. Now, active listening is a requirement to show curiosity, because the question itself always has an answer. Now, an example of this is when me and my brother fight. We would be fighting about video games, right? And it is important that after we are done fighting, I listen to the entire response of why he was upset and what I can do to make it better. Because if I don't listen to the entire answer, I'll never really know how to grow, how to make things better. The second of these 3 C's that we talked about was compassion. Having compassion for the other person while communicating is vital. Now, I think I'm not alone when I say that customer service is a difficult endeavor. Very frustrating. About a month ago, I was on a call with a customer service representative. I was on a call talking about, returning something, right? Well, Nevertheless, the person on the other side of the phone was heavily struggling to help me with what I needed. Although I continued to treat her with compassion and respect, even though I was upset, she explained to me that it was her first week on the job, and that she was the only one working. All the people she had talked to previously had been nothing short of rude and disrespectful. Eventually, at the end of the call, we figured things out, and she was beyond appreciative that I had simply treated her with respect and kindness, something that we would have never thought twice about. However, it's important that with compassion, you have to care in the first place. Now, not care how I love my brother, but you have to care that they're human. You have to care that they have opinions and beliefs. You have to care for the emotions. Through this conversation, I was able to understand someone on the other side of the situation that I was frustrated with. And without having care and compassion, I never would have. The final of the 3 C's was common ground. We discussed how to find things in common with a person that we might be disagreeing with. Being able to find this common ground will help us to connect more deeply with the person you are arguing with. An example, me and my brother play video games, right? We found common ground in a 2-player video game that we both enjoy. This common ground led us to explore deeper conversations. This common ground, we need it. It helps us to enrich our conversations and move into more deeper, complex issues. Common ground is important in communication because it allows us to find something we agree on. And without that connection, it's very difficult to continue an effective conversation. So let's expand on that really quick. If you can't find common ground with someone, there's no real reason to be talking to them, right? If you don't have something in common with that person in the first place, then why would you bother? You find the littlest thing. It could be anything. You could have the same color eyes. That's common ground. It will help you lead deeper into the conversation. Find that common ground. It will help. So, even after all that, you may be wondering, why do I care? But more importantly, why should you care about improving upon the way that we communicate with one another? Well, there are many examples in our everyday life. Politics, boardrooms, school board meetings. But let's think of something more simple. Right now, I want you to close your eyes and think of one person you hold dear. It could be anyone, a friend, a family member, a mother, a father, a daughter, a brother, a sister. Now think, why do you care about that person? For what reasons? What personality traits? Maybe it's because they're funny, they're caring, they're affectionate. But we have to ask ourselves, how did we figure those things out? Well, it all had to start with a simple conversation, right? Every relationship that we have built has been built on communication. Everything we know about each other has been built upon the idea of communication. Imagine what we could do if we improve upon this idea. Imagine what we could do if we could have conversations with people who are difficult to talk to. What could we do? We could do anything. The sky is the limit. Now, even though I'm up here talking to you about communication, I'm not great at it. By no means am I great at communication. Me and my brother still fight to this day. But what's important is that we try. What's important is that it is a continuous effort every single day to make our communication tactics better. Tonight, I ask you not to walk out of my speech with the idea of changing the way that you communicate, but I ask you to walk out of my speech and have a conversation. Have a conversation with someone who you disagree with. Have a conversation about something that you disagree on. And how, by making that conversation more effective, you can improve your next chapter. If we can all do this, then the sky's the limit for what we can do. And we may just change the world.